In an urban square space, a water feature was added to dispel the despair. Industrial oil drums sat with pre-80s glamour as metal fans brooded above, waiting for angry cop cars to skid and crash into them, sirens wailing. Outside the bar, the one-eyed man sat in his girlfriend's car, coldly waiting. The finger girl huddled in the back as a dog sat in the front, in command. It issued orders and they rolled away, smashing empty boxes asunder. Lights illuminated their faces, orange, and the dog's fangs shone as she smiled. For a while they flew on into the night, watching the frost ice the world. Some pliers sidled up to a sledgehammer, putting in their oar, laughing darkly.
Whoa.
A new man said, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" The car hovered over the town, and the dog left dramatically. The one-eyed man and his girl drove to her many-storied house with view, and they diced specific cheese and sung quietly into the chilled air. Neither knew of the prophet's warning, though the dog might have in its head. The night closed in as late-night cultural entertainment reached a new TV low. Metal parts stood aside from their fellows, flat paint, matte black. More than 100 years before, amateur photographer and mendicant George Taft, distant relation to the later president, opened his tent flap. Soon horsed, the trooper Taft, third cousin to the president-to-be, rode out behind the steel column formed by men, glinting behind the old war horse, General Armstrong Custer, man of legend to filmmakers for losing. Taft gripped hard at his rifle, thumb numb with the pressure, as all around bullets and blood flew, like action painting with lead rain in the sunshine. Taft, second cousin to the president, bleeding amongst the dead hold bodies, lay still as warriors from the Indian nations went through the remains. The blue soldiers, now mottled iron oxide red, eyes still focused on stale air. His breathing tight. He felt his head bleeding, the trails sticky, running slow. He was aware of the silence, the scuffling, the occasional finishing shot ringing. Then a face looking at his, and he blinked desperately in unfairness at plight. "Lie still," said the face, hunched in the blinding sun and disappearing upward. Taft, cousin to the president and ex-trooper, did so, thinking of chemical jars. Easels and stands stood proud in the heavily planted exhibition space. Taft, relative of the president and survivor of Little Bighorn, suited and suave, showed his work to the meandering crowds that sauntered past absently. Happy in his own world, he was surprised when a face appeared from the past. It was the one that said the words, "Lie still," though aged and paler. The two men spoke, both photographers, about processes and then the past. "I have a picture of Sitting Bull, taken while I lived with the tribes," said the face. Taft, connected with the president, looked on, amazed and incredulous. The pliers gripped at the beer crate with metal-worn hand grips perished. George Taft, known by the president, found out various tales of his rescue. A man of the times and an adventurer, adept at language and placements, he soon found his patent flashbulb process championed by the good man. Too soon their age was gone, though, as white Stetsoned cowboys moved and shimmered on silver screens, silently blasting black Stetsoned cowboys. So too the Indian nations became the Native Americans within the same flag. The war's a footnote to the proud land that rose and grows around them. An ashtray sat with acrylic paint tubes kissing the night away with menace. George Taft, no relation to the president, silently died and was forgotten. President Taft, unknown to inventor George Taft, the Little Bighorn survivor, was not assassinated to supply a fourth name in lists of president deaths, but had some story about a bath and put his name on the Taft biscuit and pint. History continued without them both, holding on to just the Tudors schemes and Disney rights, airbrushing out the likes of George Taft, unknown to all.